welcome everyone to Profiles and Channel 6 and YouTube, and a special welcome to you folks listening and watching, I should say, on YouTube. I've got a couple folks out there in El Paso. It seemed like a Texas thing, San Antonio, and also, of course, I think half of Joliet is in Siesta Key and Naples. And so hi to all of you out there as well in the world of YouTube. We are in downtown Joliet at your Illinois Rock and Roll Museum on Route 66. And I am talking to the founder and president, Mr. Ron Romero of the museum. And Ronald, you're looking mighty fine.
Well, thank you. It's the lighting in here, I think, right?
Yeah, it took 2.5 hours getting the lighting right for us, for me, anyway. I've got so many things to talk about and to listen to, and I hope that all of you will be kind of attentive. And do me a favor, do yourself a favor. During this time, make sure that your friends, family, relatives, second cousins, people who don't even like you, tell them about this show and that they can see it on YouTube if you're not in Joliet. If you're in Joliet, this is Channel 6. It'll run about 55 times a day here in Joliet and on YouTube as well. So welcome to all of you. We are on, and I'm going to let you tell the folks about this whole new area, and then we'll tell the rest of the story once you tell the folks what we're doing here today on a brand new section of the lower level of this museum.
Well, this lower level is going to be our education facility. It is, there's half and half of this lower level. Half of it is going to be for lesson area where we teach students instruments and music business and sound and lighting education. And then this side that we're on here is a place where we have the stage, as you can see, where students can come in and perform together. They can do recitals here. We can have concerts here. We can do classroom setting here to do any type of educational programming here as well. This is now known as the ServPro of Joliet Foundation Room because of the ServPro of Joliet for their donations. So, yeah.
You know, that family, and I don't know the name of the family. Do you know the name of the family?
It's the Kents.
Okay.
Yeah.
They are so community-minded that, yes, they have done this great donation here, and they continue to outreach with the museum. And we're going to give you a whole list of folks who also have been contributing to the whole building and continue to do so. But thank you to ServPro of Joliet. Make sure we say that is ServPro of Joliet. Thank you very much. I'm going to make you do something that you've done 2 or 3 times with me on the radio, but not here on Channel 6. Give me a little bit of history on this building and this museum.
Sure thing. Well, recently this building was designated as a National Historic Location here in Will County. It was built in 1930 as the White Store. Some people, there's some confusion about that because people say White Store was on Chicago Street. Well, originally in 1930 it was here in this building. That eventually changed to the Silver Dollar Store. Their gimmick was when they gave you change, they'd give you a silver dollar back. After that was Goldblatt's, and of course some people remember Goldblatt's across the street at the John Bays building as well, but Goldblatt's was here, I believe it was in the 1950s. And then finally it was By-Right Furniture, before By-Right Furniture was also on Chicago Street too. And then in 2019, the Illinois Rock and Roll Museum bought the building and we started doing our renovation here.
And we thank all of those folks who contributed, and we're going to get to them. Let's see if we can run a list, if we can. If not, we're going to try to get as many as you remember, and I have down here on this sheet. That the concept, the idea, blossomed when?
The idea started in 2013, and it was just an idea to a labor of love. You know, I really love music. I like the history of music. I recognize that there were a lot of great artists and bands and performers from the state of Illinois. In 2016, we were in discussions to bring it to the Joliet Area Museum as a exhibit, and realized that it was going to be quicker than, it can build quicker than, you know, a small exhibit. So we were encouraged to look for a building and build on that. So 2017, we became a non-for-profit organization and incorporated, and then we bought the building in 2019. So it's been a while, and there's been a lot of inspirations for it. You know, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Rick Nielsen from Cheap Trick had an exhibit in Rockford for 8 months. It lasted 8 months, and then Nashville it's just a tourism mecca.
You think?
Yes, absolutely, and it's such a well-oiled machine there too. I love the way that all the businesses work together, and the streets are so crowded there, and they bring so much tourism dollars into that area.
Yeah, and you and Patty, and by the way, Patty Romero is very much a part of this board and the founding of this museum. But they say that you guys really did kind of something special to that suite that you were in at the Grand Hotel there in Nashville.
That we did?
Yeah.
We did.
You also, and I don't think we mentioned this enough, is that in the world of musicology, if that's such a word, you have been a performer for a few years as well, and a few different bands. Would you like to articulate some of that adventure of your life?
I was that band geek and proud of it. Since I think probably 4th or 5th grade. My grandmother played every instrument you could imagine. My father played several instruments. My brother played instruments. My mom's joke was she played the radio. So we had music in our house all the time. And I was in every choir, chorus, pep band, jazz band, concert band, marching band, field band, and it just stuck with me. And then I started playing with rock bands actually during high school too. So, been at it a while.
And you are a Joliet kid, correct?
Well, I'm actually originally from south side of Chicago.
Yeah, I know that.
Moved to the big city of Coal.
Oh.
Coal City, Illinois. I went to school there, graduated from Coal City, Illinois. And we now live here in Joliet. We moved here for this project to bring this museum to Joliet.
See, I didn't know that.
We've been here for a few years now.
See, you learn things when you do this. You learn things. I have so much, I don't know where to start. Let's just do something that's current and going on here at the museum. Before we do that, we'll put this on the screen, but also tell the folks, because I know that you're in and out watching this, and hopefully come back at another time and catch up with us. But a phone number for the museum, and then the website where they can get a lot more information, if you would do that now.
Sure. The phone number to the museum is 815-927-1540.
Correct.
Yes, I got it right.
You got it right.
Tell them, what do you want? So that's the museum phone number. And the website is www.roadtorock.org, ROADTOROCK.org.
There you go. You mentioned this earlier, Ron, but let's get a little more detail on this. Plans to work with, is it District 86?
Yeah, we've been talking to the music department at District 86. Our research says that there's about 11,000 students in that district with all the schools combined, and there's about 1,100 students that are in music programs. And we've been working with the music directors at District 86 to bring them to our programs here to help with one-on-one programming lessons for the students, and also to take it a step further. Some of the educational components that you can't get in a regular school, music business or lighting or sound, publishing, songwriting, things like that. And then we want to encourage the students that once they've completed high school and they've possibly come here for classes too, is to continue their education at JJC or College of St. Francis, which both have very good music programs. So we hope that we'll be able to bring students through here and encourage them to continue their education.
Kind of go down that same path that Ron Romero did, because as you just educated me that you were in bands and all that whole music thing from high school on, and you never stopped. And you haven't stopped.
Still doing it.
Right?
Yeah.
And I also want to mention that this program is being brought to you by Stage Right Productions.
Sure.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, you do have that as well. Well,
Yeah.
let's promote
So Stage
that as
Right
well.
is a company that I've owned for years. It's, we do sound and lighting for events. We started out doing presentations and business meetings. We call them talking heads, where people get up to the podium and talk. And we eventually started doing concerts and park concerts and city concerts and things like that too. And as I got older, I decided to park all the gear here at the museum. And instead of me taking the gear to people, now we bring people here.
Great idea, great idea.
It's a lot easier on my back.
Yeah, you know, talking about people, and we're going to be all over the place, by the way, because in my rehearsal, which was 3 minutes and 22 seconds for the show, I want to mention as many people as we can possibly do that have helped along the lines here, because this is as you mentioned, a historically preservation building, and from the basement, lower level, we're in now, the first floor, the second floor, the third floor. So what's going to happen on the first floor? Take us for a little bit of a tour. Maybe we get some shots of some of the things that the people will see. Early stages right now, but take us for a tour.
Sure. Well, as I mentioned, the lower level, we call the foundation room. It sounded better than basement, so
Yes.
Foundation is what we used, and that's where we're doing our educational programming. The first floor, street level, you'll walk in, there'll be a ticket counter there to come in, and then some of the things that we'll talk about and exhibit there are an exhibit on the Great Migration, which was the African American community coming from the southern states to the northern states. And when they migrated north, they brought this great blues music. It was all acoustic blues music. So we'll talk about that a little bit. The next section will be Maxwell Street, where that blues had an audience. It was a multicultural open-air market, and the blues artists plugged in their guitars and started to play, and brought drummers and bass players and singers, and bands were formed to do blues, and that became Chicago blues. And that Chicago blues influenced bands like, players like Eric Clapton, Led Zeppelin. A lot of the bands from overseas used a lot of the blues, especially the artists from Chess Records. So the next section after that would be the record area, and we call it Record Row, talking about Chess and Argo and VJ and all the great record companies that took that music from Maxwell Street and other locations and put it on record for people to hear. And then also on that level, we have radio stations. We have the 1950s version of WAJP, which was the first female-owned FM station here in Will County that was donated to us. So you'll see the gear that was used in the 1950s. Next to that, you'll see our radio station that's up and running, which of course is roadtorockradio.net, and you'll hear local Illinois artists on that and interviews on that as well. And then the last thing that you'll see on the first floor is our gift shop, filled with all sorts of swag, strategically located, as Walt Disney would say, at the exit door.
I want to thank, there's so many people to thank at this stage, and be more, and we certainly invite you, and we're going to give this information out throughout the interview, to participate in undergirding and supporting the museum. If you love music, you got to love this museum. Opening tentative date sometime this year?
Yeah, we're looking at 2021. The idea is to have a phased rollout where we'll open the lower level for the education, and then the first floor with the gift shop and the things that we just mentioned. That'll be this year. I want to mention too that one of our first exhibits is called Recorded History of Illinois Guitars.
Can you spell that for us?
Thank you for asking. There's a little trick to that. Recorded is spelled R-E-C-H-O-R-D, a little play on words, as in chords of music. And that's going to be based around instruments, guitars from the state of Illinois. And then next year, we're going to open up the second and third floor, which second floor will be a majority of the exhibit space. The third floor will be our multi-use space where we can hold concerts up there, where our Hall of Fame will be located at. And we'll be able to rent that out if anybody wants to come in and get married at the Illinois Rock and Roll Museum or have a business meeting. That would be a great place to do it.
Absolutely. And since I also have my officiate card in my back pocket here, we can help you out with that as
There
well.
we go.
There you go. And one of the things I want to mention here, and we talked about the radio studios, and you see, take a look at that right now. That's the one that would do Road to Rock radio. But next door to that, he mentioned WAJP, and that was donated by none other than one of the greatest, and I met him in several decades of working with him, the Lindstroms.
Lindstrom.
Yeah. And that's the station. That's the I didn't go to the WAJP, but that's exact duplicate studio they got down in.
It wasn't Pontiac.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah.
And I told my wife and people who were with us on the tour, I said, that's where I began my career with that kind of a studio. The tape machine and the big microphone and the turntables and all things like that.
Tell us what a turntable is, right?
Yeah, what is a turntable? Although it's coming back.
Yes, it is.
People are buying
It is.
vinyl and it's coming back, which is great. By the way, if we take an intermission here, it's because Ron has to answer the door because the Home Depot's coming in with doors. So, we'll come back to you. The Carpenters Union, we'll start with them, but then there's more. The Carpenters Union just recently visited the museum.
Yeah, it actually started with IBW, the electrical workers, which, forgive me if I got the numbers wrong, but I think they're 176 local. And they came in, took a look at what we were doing, and said they wanted to be part of the, help out in the community. And this looked like a good project for them. So they're helping us update some of the electricity. Well, they reached out to a couple other unions and said, hey, this is a great program that we've got coming in, can you help out? So the next ones that come in were the Carpenters Union here locally on Essington Road in Joliet. And they've come out and taken a look around, and they're going to build a couple of walls for us that we need for gallery walls within the museum. And then we've had so many other people that you have the list, so I'm going to name a few people. Please fill me in if I forget. But the very first person, or first group to come in was ServPro of Joliet, as we mentioned earlier. They helped to paint the ceilings and do some of the work on cleaning up the building to start with. We've got ComEd, got a grant through ComEd to replace the lighting through all 4 floors of the building to LED, something that was a little more efficient. Green Electric from Rockdale came in, also a local IBEW company, came in and did the installation of that. And we have to say thank you to our donors because we had to make a contribution to that. The total was $25,000 in renovation, and we had to contribute $5,000, so we went to our donors, and fortunately we raised $6,000, a little over $6,000. So with the help of the community, we got that done. There's Triton CCC Technologies that put in our computers, our telco, all our phone systems, our Wi-Fi in the building, all donated to us. Let's see who else. The new one is Lions Design Group. Lions Design Group is an architect firm that donated their service and their designs for the city permits and for all the good things that we have to do here with the organizations doing the building. Let's see, who else was on that list? I know there's lots more.
You have Sherwin-Williams of Joliet, did you mention that?
Sherwin-Williams of Joliet stepped in and donated some paint for the building as well, too. We're very thankful for that.
Another great contributor was the folks from Omega Plumbing.
Omega Plumbing were one of our biggest contributors. They roughed in all our bathrooms on all the floors. And also now, Bob Fox himself is going to be joining, owner of Omega Plumbing is going to be joining our board of directors this month too. So it'll be good to have him on board.
Yeah. Speaking of this room, as you walk up to the stage area, there's some beautiful carpeting. And that was contributed by
Castle Law here in Joliet. Yeah. They bought a building and donated some of the carpeting to us just recently. Well, not recently. I think it's been a year or so now. It's been a while. But we finally got a place to put it, which was downstairs in our foundation room.
Beautiful, beautiful.
It looks good.
Yeah, it's great where the seating area is, where you cannot see, and we'll show it to you when we open up the place. How's that? We may have left a few folks off, but here's how you can find out two things to do. First of all, you'll see who contributed, from trade unions to corporations to individuals to companies, small and large, have said yes to the Illinois Rock and Roll Museum. And it'll give you an opportunity also to say yes, to help us undergird, support, and keep this museum going. And you can do that, Ron Romero. How would they be able to do that?
The best way for them to do that is to go to roadtorock.org. That's our main website. And there'll be all sorts of things on the front page. You can donate, you can become a charter member, you could learn about some of the Illinois, the music that comes from Illinois. You could see some of our educational programs and some of our videos that we've done, our donors and sponsors as well there.
I'm going to do something that I should have done in the very beginning as I introduced you, Ron, as board president and creator of the Illinois Rock and Roll Museum here on Route 66 in downtown Joliet. You have a board of directors.
We have a growing board of directors.
Growing
yes.
board of directors.
And I'd say we've had a lot of good people over the years, too, that former board of directors that have helped us and still support us,
Yeah. Let's just do maybe the executives of the board, because there's a lot of board members, and we could go to the website, and you'll see those names as well, I believe.
Absolutely.
But it's you, and then who else?
So on the executive part of the board of directors is myself as chair. The vice chair is Debbie Jo Erickson, who does some work with the Route 66 red carpet corridor as well. Chris Fries, who is our treasurer, and Patty Romero, who is our secretary and vice president in charge of the president. Yeah.
And you know, the kind of secretary she is the kind that writes all the notes and everything, because I was secretary years ago at Rotary. That was a piece of cake. This is not.
Yeah. She's been doing it since we started, so yeah, all the notes and the minutes and everything she keeps.
Some of that is all this debris of paper I have in front of me here, because I didn't want to leave anything out. And I want to talk, you mentioned a little bit about programming, so let's talk a little bit more about what's will be offered here in later in 2021 and on to 22, 23 and on. Examples. An example, if somebody, you mentioned some of the things, but let's just say you wanted to learn about studio engineering. That's one of the
Absolutely.
courses offered.
Yeah, what we'd like to do is have our everyday classes, as I'd like to call them, things on instrumentation or recording or things like that. But we also like to do master classes and have guest speakers come in, somebody who you may well know or well knew their work that they've worked on, to come in and educate people on how they wrote that. Perhaps a songwriter to come in and show people how to write song or what their methodology is for writing songs. And so our plan currently right now is to be able to offer that online and in-house here as well. So if people want to do it at their own pace, they'll be able to do it just by jumping online and signing up there.
Great. You know, you talked about famous people. You've got some famous people who volunteered to be on your advisory committee.
We do.
Who would that be?
Well, to start with, Jim Peterick. We were just talking about songwriters. Jim Peterick has written songs with the Ides of March. He's a founding member of the Ides of March and the band Survivor. Written many great songs, including things like Hold On Loosely and Eye of the Tiger and Vehicle and many, many others he's written with so many people. It's amazing. Can't sing his praises, pardon the pun, enough. He's a great guy on our board. Also, we have Bob Surratt from back in the WLS days. As a kid growing up, that was who I listened to in WLS. He's now with WGN Radio. We also have recently Mitch Michaels from The River just joined us as an advisory board member as well, too. And that board is growing. We have a few other people that are kind of in the wings, and we're waiting to make those announcements.
He's such a teaser. The opening of this museum will join a group of venues that have in the past enhanced the tourism of Joliet and of the entire Will County area, particularly the Route 66 that comes right through here. When we open these doors up, we will join the Rialto Theater, the Joliet Historical Museum, the prison, the Ironworks. What am I missing here?
The ballpark?
Oh, yeah, the DuPage Medical Ballpark, the architecture that is in downtown Joliet, which our tour is going to be starting with that. And then there's other venues here. Across the street, there's the Forge, and a lot of the, Chicago Street Pub has entertainment, and that's kind of the, what does Triz always say, it's original music there.
Yes, yeah.
So there's nothing, there's no...
No covers.
No cover bands over there. So you're going to be joining, and this is business. The impact on the business of the restaurants and the surrounding area when up until during 2019, 2018, Bob Navarro from the Heritage Corridor they've done some research, and there's at least minimally 25,000 tourists that come through Joliet. That will, I believe, will at least double, if not triple, the amount of people coming into Joliet to see, to visit. Oh, the Joliet Museum.
Absolutely, yeah.
Also.
The casinos, too. I mean,
and the casinos
sure.
Have drawn a lot of people to the casinos. And here's the other thing that's happening. It just happened. And it's one of my favorite groups to watch as they come into Joliet, because they always come in Harleys. And that's the men and women of the Czech Republic. Tell me about what just happened here.
Well, we
a couple
had
weeks ago.
Yeah, we just had DJ come from the Czech Republic and did a live broadcast here. He took a tour of Route 66 this year and stopped at a few venues from here to California, and we were the very first stop that he came to on his tour. The very cool part of that was he did a live broadcast from our studio upstairs. It was exciting to us because there were callers that were calling in from obviously Czech Republic, because that's where he's at. But we actually had somebody from Mexico that asked for a request, and we had a call from Brazil. So it was exciting to know that we've made a little further out and people are knowing about us now.
Yeah.
So,
the combination of this opening of this museum with the prison opening up, as soon as this pandemic thing gets out of the way, it's going to be a whole different paradigm going on in Joliet and the surrounding areas. It's exciting to think about it.
I think so. And some numbers I could throw at you is our social media, our Facebook. We have over 22,000 followers from around the world already. We have over 500 charter members, and that's growing every day. And that those people, our charter members, are at last count, they're from 25 different states here in the United States. So we've reached out beyond local to capture the attention of tourism. We get calls all the time from all sorts of groups wanting to come by and take a tour here. So we're excited to get open and make that happen. We had a local school, college, Elmhurst College, did a study on tourism here. And interestingly enough, that people do come to Joliet. A majority of people that travel through on Route 66 spend right around about an hour doing something here. So we're hoping that with our venue and in cooperation with all the great attractions that you just mentioned, we hope we can get people into hotels and stay. We hope that they'll stay for a little bit longer and plan a day here, a day at the other museum, at the prison. There's a lot of things to do here.
The Bernhofen family have been really the startups for years ago. Sue Bernhofen would get folks to come to the mansion, and then they would take the tour of Joliet. I know you've been talking with her, and that's going to be kind of a merging of the mansion as well with this museum.
Absolutely. We're looking forward to working with Sue. She's got she does some great things over at the mansion over there, where she brings in busloads of people. They do a little show there, they
Yeah.
have a lunch,
Yeah.
and we had talked in the past about being able to say, okay, well, let's do a show here, give them lunch, and then take them to the museums and do some other things here downtown Joliet. She's another one that really pushes, advocates for the tourism here in Joliet.
Yeah. We're going to put up the contact information because you mentioned this about 4 hours ago. You mentioned about the merchandise on the first floor.
Yes.
And what kind of merch are you talking about?
We are talking about the usual suspects like T-shirts and handbags and coffee cups. We actually now have our own brand of coffee. It's called Rock and Roast.
Of course you do.
That goes with the coffee cups, of course. But although our gift shop isn't open now, our online store is open, which of course you can get to from our website. We have miniature collectible guitars of very famous, recognizable guitars with ties to Illinois. There's keychains and magnets, and our gift shop is growing with other things. We're going to be adding a lot of Route 66 memorabilia to that soon here as well, too.
So, Mr. Romero, those folks out there watching, they're saying, well, wait a minute there. How can I become a member of the museum? Is there a way? Is there a path? Is there a vehicle? Is there a door that we could perhaps become a member?
There is, perhaps.
Oh, okay.
There is, and thank you for asking. It's actually, if you go to the website, again, you'll find a lot of information at the website, which is road2rock.org. You can find out about memberships there, and memberships start at about $35 a year for annual members. There is discounts for seniors, there is discounts for military and students, and then we also have family memberships and lifetime memberships, and we're just about to roll out our corporate memberships for bigger businesses that would like to become sponsors and members of the museum. Some of the benefits, of course, you get free entrance into the museum as long as you keep your membership up. If it's lifetime, obviously, it's lifetime. If it's annual, you keep that up and you can come in anytime. We're working with some of the local businesses to get discounts. So when you present your membership card to them, they'll give you a discount on food or coffee. We have a great record shop here. We have our, Phil's, Audio Phil's, and we have the Strange and Unusual Gallery. Aside from all the great attractions, we have a lot of cool shopping experiences that are starting to happen here in Joliet, and that's going to grow too, I'm confident.
And all of this happening during the pandemic, because our restaurants and our bars, have, in one way or the other, they're surviving. And during all of this, Ron Romero, the board, the staff, the volunteers have kept this place going. And we want to thank you as a proud board member. I would thank you, along with Ron Romero, to continue to assist us and look forward to coming to the Illinois Rock and Roll Museum on Route 66 in downtown Joliet soon, coming to a neighborhood near you. How's that?
That's pretty good.
Okay. Anything else?
You've done this before. I will mention about the membership. One additional thing is we have our Hall of Fame. And our Hall of Fame this year, we had plans, or last year I should say, we had plans on inducting our inaugural class, which include Ides of March, the Buckinghams, Cheap Trick, Chicago, REO Speedwagon, Muddy Waters, and there were a few more, forgive me. But you can find that out on the website as well.
There you go.
But when you're a charter member, as a charter member, you get the right to vote for who should be inducted.
Right.
So this year, we're planning on doing our makeup concert that we had to reschedule because of the pandemic. So we haven't figured out if we're going to do the 2021 this year, or if we're going to hold that off till the beginning of next year. It all depends on how quickly things happen with the pandemic and vaccines get, kicking in and everybody's healthy and well,
Right.
and safe. So we'll wait till it's safe for people to gather, and that's what we're planning on doing. We're going to have a big party.
We'll have a big party,
Big
and you're
party.
invited.
That's right.
You're invited. Ron Romero, thank you so much. And thank you, your wife Patty, the board of directors, the staff, the volunteers, and especially you folks out there. Thank you very much. I'm Richard Fredrickson, and you've been watching Profiles here on Channel 6 and YouTube. Take care.